We are live. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to a tiny Toonkind FPS. I am Mira,
Hello.
and I have with me my lovely friend.
Hello, it is me, Artist of Obsessions, also known as Obby. Hee
All
hee.
right.
Hee hee hee.
And I will be playing Abigail Satin, also known as Abby,
And I'm going to be playing Harold Thimbledown II.
who we love very much.
He's
Just to
doing his
preface,
best.
he is doing his best. Just to preface this, this is an FPS that takes place directly after In the Dark. Very spoilery for In the Dark, and it is carrying over some of the angst that happened in that tinies game. So
Yep.
be forewarned, we're hoping, going to just be mild angst, but with tinies, we don't know. It could be medium
With
because
it, it seems that the Tinies have a record of getting into angst territory pretty fast.
yes. Yes, we have. Yeah, just strap in, folks. It could be a bumpy ride. Okay. We are beginning, and it is nighttime. Harold, you have briefly seen your younger sister Abby earlier in the week, and she was looking a little down. Like, even with potentially bad insight rolls, you could notice that something was up with your sister, and she kind of just
Little but older sister.
yes, little but older sister, and she kind of just disappeared. She's like kind of stopped just hanging out around the little common area that all of the tinies will hang out with during like the evening after like they've done their little supply runs and like having communal dinners and stuff together. She's
Mhm.
not shown up to those, and neither has Peck, and eventually neither has Squeak. And it's
Ah,
been a bit, and you are starting to get really concerned
that's
because
putting it lightly.
yeah, this is
This bunny worries.
this is extremely out of character for her. She's usually chilling out with the rest of the family if she's not at home knitting or something. She likes being around her family. You
Mhm.
don't know what's going on, and there's this kind of strange pall over certain members of the family, and you don't know what's going on because it's something happened, and you don't know what.
Yep. Something happened and nobody's telling Harold what happened and he's very worried and he's very concerned and he's just like I gotta figure this out.
Mm-hmm. And
So
so,
I like imagine that like it's nighttime at the moment and like Harold's probably still at his house and he's just gathering stuff that he thinks he might need. He gets like things from his soft collection, which are just a collection of soft things.
mm-hmm.
Like very, very tiny pillows, bits of dust, feathers from the owls.
Just
Uh,
shoving everything soft in his collection that he can find into his hammer space, basically.
yep. He's also grabbing just a little tea set so that he can make some tea if Abby needs it because he's very good at making tea. Because B taught him, and B taught him how to make tea very good. Or Bea, however you pronounce that name. And he's also getting some cookies that he made earlier because he's also good at baking cookies.
Mm-hmm. Good
He is
little
just
brother.
he's a good little brother who has a lot of stay at home talents because he does nothing but stay at home.
And we love him so much. He is a very good boy.
Yeah. Okay, I have to stress, as he's going to Abby's house, it takes a while
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's dark, and this bunny is scared of many things, the dark included.
Mm-hmm.
And at literally the tiniest sound, he hides every time. Every
Oh, oh, sweetheart.
he is nervous.
Oh, sweetie.
It takes so long.
Oh, we love you, sweetheart. Oh my god. But eventually, after a very long trek that was not as long as he needed it to be, but to make himself feel better, he took a very long time. He eventually
Cautious.
arrives in the section of the prop storage where Abby makes her little house. And it's a small disused wooden box, and it's squirreled away with one of the wooden slats pried loose enough that you can just slip right on through. But something's weird about it. Normally, the slat is open just to welcome everybody in to kind of just, you know, let whoever wants to visit come visit. The slat is shut, but you can
Hmm.
still see where the slat is, where it can be pried loose and open again. But it's
Okay.
currently closed.
Harold takes one look at this, and his ears just start drooping because he's worried. And he
Mm-hmm.
just very carefully goes up to like the slat, and there's a well, I don't. He tries to knock, but like he's made of dust,
Uh-huh.
so it's probably just a soft padding sound.
Oh. Oh, Harold, I love you.
Thump, thump, thump. The softest of knocks.
Well, it should come to no surprise then that there is no response.
Harold knocks again, just in case.
Still no
He's a
response.
polite bunny. He's a polite bunny.
There is absolutely no response from this at all.
Eventually, Harold just like hesitates for a little bit before he very carefully opens the slat, and he just peeks inside, and he just goes, Abby, are you in here? Hello?
I'm gonna need him to roll a perception check.
Oh boy. All right, let's do this. Oh, nice.
Okay, so what Harold sees when he peeks in through the door is he sees that the little all of the little lights that are strung up around Abby's little house are currently off. She's unplugged them. The only light that's coming in the entire room is the quiet little glow of a yarn of ball on her little table. And from that soft glow, you can see the room's a mess. Things are strewn everywhere. And you know Abby, she's not very clean normally, but this
Yeah.
is another
Exact
level
opposite of Harold.
of
This is
like
the exact opposite of Harold.
like
Like
this.
seeing this, he has to stop himself from trying to just out of habit to start organizing things that are nearby.
But the thing is, like, she's normally disorganized, but it's like kind of in the disorganization that like it's like clearly there's a pile of things here that she knows exactly where the thing is, or there's another pile right here and it's got
Yeah.
like all of her yarn that she's currently using and just hasn't put back in her yarn box, and like all of these little knickknacks and everything, all of that disorganized chaos is now just chaos. And
Oh,
there's
Abby, honey.
and there's just an her bed is empty, it's been stripped bare, and then there's just this mound of blankets over where she usually keeps all of her stuff for Squeak nests when Squeak decides to come over and stay the night.
Aww.
You don't see Abby though.
Hmm. I think like Harold like stands at the doorway for a little bit, and his ears are like kind of standing up on end and twirling around like satellite dishes as he like tries to listen for anything. But like he's not hearing anything specifically, so he's just gonna very
Mm-hmm.
quietly tiptoe into the room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like there isn't really anything else of interest besides like the giant pile of like blankets and stuff, so he's just gonna very,
Mm-hmm.
very quietly just tiptoe over.
Okay. And as you tiptoe over, you hear a quiet hitch of breath and then silence.
Oh. Abby, are you in there? And like Harold's gonna reach out and peek open the blanket.
Go away, Harold. Don't want to talk to anybody. And she kind of pulls the blanket back over her head.
Well, I'm I I know you don't want to talk, but come on, I'm worried. You haven't been out of your house in a while, and I haven't seen you.
Shouldn't go out. Bad things happen when I go out.
Well, no, they don't. And like
Yes,
Harold
they
is just
do.
like
Yes,
Harold's gonna
they
like do a
do.
little humph, and he's just gonna try to tug off the blanket.
Oh boy, roll strength.
Yeah, that's exactly that's exactly how this is gonna go, huh? Okay, for people who are listening and recording, Abby rolled a 9, and then Harold rolled a -1.
How I feel like this goes is like they like tug just for a brief second, and then like Abby yanks, and Harold goes flying.
Harold, he flies over the pile of blankets. There's just this this sound of a poof as this dust hits the other side of the pile.
So sorry, Harold. And normally that would make Abby laugh because like this is her little brother just being a little dork, and he went flying, but there's no laughter. She just kind of goes back underneath the blankets, and there's a quiet sniffle again.
Hmm. I think Harold like sits up and his eyes are like doing the spiral thing for a bit before he shakes his head, and then he pouts and he stands up and he walks back over to the pile and he just flops on top of it.
What? Harold, get off of me!
Not until you talk to me.
I don't want to talk. Everybody else knows, and I just don't want. I don't want Cap to
Yeah,
know. Don't want
if
Cap.
everyone else knows, they aren't telling me about it, and I'm tired of
Because
not being told anything.
you'll tell Cap. You'll tell Cap, and it's my fault, and everything is. I don't want Cap to know. Don't want
Well,
Cap
how
to
come you
know.
don't want Cap to know?
Because a Big knows about us now, and it's my fault. It's my fault. Peg's mad at me, and now they're gone, and it's my fault.
Hmm. Like normally, Harold, when he hears like people mentioning like, "Hey, you're breaking the rules," he usually goes off into tangents about how the rules are so important and whatnot. And like literally telling Captain about things is the first rule. But I think this time he just kind of pouts and he slowly climbs off the pile and he just sits next to it. Well, hmm.
Peck was really mad. They were really mad at me. And I haven't seen them since. It's my fault they left.
I'm sure it wasn't your fault." And, like, Harold is just he's, like, awkwardly trying to, like, reach out a little arm to, like, hug around, Abby in, like, a half hug underneath the blankets.
Mhm. She finally kind of slowly peeks up from underneath the blankets, and you don't even need an insight roll for this, Harold. Her face is all red and splotchy. She's been crying for a very long time.
Oh, Abby, honey. I think, like, Harold, like, the minute, like, Abby peeks out, he just kind of, like, tries to scoop her up into a big hug because
What?
he's a big, soft bunny, and he's very huggy. He likes hugs.
Abby likes hugs too, and she just kind of she hugs him back, but it's very half-hearted. She is not feeling very yeah, she's not feeling very happy right now. Putting it mildly.
Abby is valid. I think Harold's just gonna, like, he's not gonna really say much. He's just gonna offer, like, just like, "Hey, I'm here to, like, I'm just here. I
Mhm.
can be here."
Yeah. And Abby just kind of flops into Harold's arms because she's just like it has been such a bad time every time she's left the house recently. Because
Oh gosh.
there was the rats initially being
Ah, right.
spotted by
The rats!
yep, the rats.
The rats!
The rats. There was the initial being spotted by her crush and being so flitter padded that she could not fathom hiding from her crush, who happens to be a very big owl.
Mm.
Hmm.
Actually, does Harold know about her crush? I don't know
I
if he
don't
does.
know. Well, let's start there. Actually, yeah, roll history.
Little history. Oh boy. Because Harold's great at history. 12.
Okay, okay. So, with a 12, you kind of know that your sister has a tendency to go off into La La Land and make her tail into hearts, and weird little heart things will show up every once in a while, but you have no idea who your sister has a crush on. You do know that
I
she
mean,
has a crush, but
yeah.
not who.
At the cold house, she mentioned a pretty bird, but I think Harold just assumed it was Croak.
Yep. Yeah, that tracks. And
Oh man.
Abby kind of realizes as she was kind of trying to speak about what had happened and quickly realizes that, oh, Harold doesn't know. Harold doesn't know.
Harold knows nothing.
Um, and she has this kind of look of, oh, oh no. Um, okay, guess we're doing this. So, Harold,
I think, like, before she starts, like, talking about anything, Harold
mm-hmm,
mentions, "If you don't wanna talk about anything, I'm not gonna force you, but, you know,
well,
if you
it's,
do wanna talk about stuff, I can listen. I'm very good at listening," and he just one of his hands absently pats at his big, big ears.
mm-hmm, and she, like, smiles weakly at that and then just kind of hesitates for a moment and then it's just, we, I, Harold, you know I have a crush on a Toon, right?
You can see the gears turning in Harold's head because Croak is not a tune.
And she kind of nods at the visible gears starting to turn in Harold's brain, and she's just it she's really pretty, and she makes clothes, and I'd see her sometimes when I would go and get supply runs because I usually need a lot of yarn for all of my alchemical stuff. And well, you know how I fell with Lester right before with the rats, and
Uh,
we found we
yeah.
basically a big found us. It
Oh,
that was that was my fault because the big was the person I was crushing on, and she didn't really think that we were real at first. But but um basically what happened earlier was that I don't remember everything because when everybody calls it Twitter pated, I don't really understand what that is because I think I get trapped in my thoughts. I'm not entirely sure. I'll blink and then I'll be sometimes somewhere else, and this time um it was Cass, it was Ro, and Peck and Zorbly. They were trying to intimidate her to make sure that she didn't tell anyone, and she was really scared. And I basically threw off their entire plan, and now she knows for definite that we're here and that we
mm.
exist, and it's my fault. If I hadn't fallen, if I hadn't been anything like that, then she wouldn't have been traumatized, and Peck wouldn't be mad, and Squeak and Peck wouldn't be gone, and I don't. It's my fault everything like this happened.
Oh boy, this is a lot to process
It
in a very short
is.
amount of time.
It is
Poor Harold is just trying to comprehend everything at the moment, and it's just, that's
a lot.
that's a lot.
It
Do
is a
you?
lot.
It, he just gives her the biggest hug he can muster.
She hugs her back. She hugs him back. Pronouns.
uh, words hard sometimes.
They are. I'm currently squinting against the sun. The sunlight has found me.
Ah, yes, the sun.
Yeah. And like she is just very quiet. Harold, do you want to roll an insight?
Oh boy, howdy does he. Okay, insight. Boop.
17.
17.
Okay, with a 17, you realize that she's quiet because she's crying again. And she meant wholeheartedly that she feels like everything that's gone wrong in the past little while has been her fault.
Oh, honey. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. I think Harold, like as soon as he recognizes this, he like immediately like goes to like rub away at Abby's tears with his little paws, and like he's trying to like think of what to say. Like normally he's very good at the talking, but like
Mm-hmm.
like he's not very good at making people feel better, he feels.
Oh,
Like, he could
Harold.
give hugs and stuff, but he's not very good at, like, saying the right words to make people, like to, like, lift them up, but
Mm-hmm.
he's trying so
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And like also with that 17, you realize that it really bothers her when she goes into a Twitter padded state, and she wakes up
Mm,
and she basically wakes up in a different place entirely, and people have moved her around
mm, okay.
because no one's tried to actually snap her out of it. They've just guided her around.
Ah, Harold is very distinctly remembering that happening in the Cold House game.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, oh, you can see the guilt. You can see the guilt in his ears. They're trooping back as he thinks about that.
Yeah,
Well, if you want, I can like snap you out of it next time that happens.
I don't
If it does happen.
I don't know if it will happen again. I don't, but if it does happen, can you? Because I I the last time it happened was the worst because all of a sudden all of everyone else was doing these really mean things, and I would have wanted to stop them if they had woken me up, and they didn't wake me up. They just
Hmm.
moved me where they needed me to be.
Oh, oh, Abby, and he like just holds her close. He does the big hold.
She sniffs a little.
Hmm. I'm sorry that happened. It's not fair to you.
And like I understand why they were doing it, but if 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 they had told me, I just would have stayed home.
Hmm.
Cause I didn't want to see her get hurt. I never wanted to see her get hurt.
Hmm.
And
Harold's just.
I know that Cass was just trying to follow along what they were saying, and I think she had a lot of fun because she does like to fight things, but she's so little. I don't think it
I,
should have been a good idea for her to go along either.
hmm. This. Why does everybody seem to come up with plans that lack common sense?
I
Like Harold just says that absently. It's like
Abby
he's
actually kind of giggles a little at that.
like there are rules for a reason. And you can see that he wants to go into the rant of please, please, you guys, I'm begging you. But like he knows he's done that around her before, and he's just not gonna go into it because
Mhm.
it's not time to go into the rant of following the rules. It's time to help Abby feel better.
Mhm. Mhm. But just seeing Harold struggling with the urge to rant actually does make her giggle a little. And she
I think
kind of
like
rubs at her eyes a bit, and she's just like, "Thanks, Harold."
It's no problem. And he gives her another big hug because that's what he does. He gives big hugs.
This time she hugs back, and it's a lot stronger than the first because she is feeling a little bit better.
Yes, good. Hmm.
I I don't really know what um. So why are you here? I know I haven't been outside very long, but for a bit, but Is
Uh,
everybody else okay?
I think so. Like everyone else is fine, but like nobody would talk to me about what happened. And I know something happened because people are being weird and stuff. And then I didn't see you for a long time. Then I got worried.
I'm sorry I worried you.
It's okay. I worry about everything. And he he just tugs on one of his ears just absently.
She kind of reaches up and just, like, gently smooths his ears, and it's just like, yeah, that's true, but I wouldn't have you any other way, because
Oh
you're my little
gosh.
brother, and you worrying means that you care, but I don't want you worrying too much, because worrying too much makes you stressed.
I I can't exactly help it. And like Harold just shrugs. Like I I want to be more brave, but like everything else is so big.
It is
Everything else is
big.
so big.
It is big. You know,
Big is scary.
yeah, it can be. But when when you're prepared for things and you've done them enough, they kind of lose a little bit of their scariness. But
Hmm.
you have to kind of go out and meet the big things in order to face them, because sometimes they're not as scary as you think, and sometimes
Hmm.
they are as scary as you think, maybe even more. I don't know if I should have
Hmm.
actually said that though. And like that was like kind of like a half mutter underneath her breath.
I think
Because
like Harold's just absently thinking over those words.
like she's trying to be encouraging, but at the same time she's like trying to be realistic, then going, wait, should I be realistic in this situation? Because there are some scary things out there, but I don't want to stress out my brother. She's actually faced one of the scarier things out there.
Actually,
Rats.
I'm gonna roll something.
Oh no. Ooh, a
Okay,
nat
that was
20!
that was a wisdom save. I think like he thinks over these words for a second, and like you can see that for a moment he looks like he's about to go like, scary things do exist, and start going into like the the thoughts of, oh boy, scary things do in fact exist. But like he just like impressively shrugs it off, and he's just like, well, uh, hmm, I yeah. But like I know scary things exist, but there's also like a whole bunch of not scary things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's what kind of not scary things are there? There's the
Well,
big
there's
food.
everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else is not scary
Everyone else isn't scary. That's true.
except for Dell. Dell's terrifying. I really do not understand Dell, and at this point, I'm way too afraid to ask.
I don't even know if they'll like actually. I don't know if they actually talk. Like, that's okay, but it's kind of hard to understand what they need if they don't tell you.
Hmm,
That's, I think, why it's a little scary, because we can't actually communicate with them. And they keep running away.
that's true. Maybe we could like leave him a letter
Maybe.
somewhere.
Oh, if we did a letter, I could make them a sweater.
Yeah, we could make him a sweater.
Or maybe a
And
shawl
like,
would be better, because I don't actually know their dimensions.
hmm,
Hmm.
maybe a scarf. Scarves are good.
Oh, a scarf would be good.
Yeah.
And she giggles a little at that because, oh, making things for the other tinies is one of her passions.
Yeah.
And like she just
Oh,
kind of
speaking of baking things, Harold's ears perk up because he just remembered, "Oh yeah, I brought things over." And he had completely forgotten them in the moment of, "Oh, need to check if Abby's okay." And he
mhm.
completely forgot everything that he grabbed.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to start rolling hammer speed
Here we
for like, here we go. That's a 7. Okay. The first thing Harold is pulling out is cookies.
go. Abby sees this and her eyes go wide and her eyes start sparkling and her hair kind of like does an excited little floof. And she's just like, oh, Harold, you made cookies! You
Mhm.
made cookies! Oh, you need more light than the nightlight. And she kind of squeezes out of the front door, and there is a brief interlude, and there's the little and the little string little Christmas lights that are all like hung up along the walls turn on, making it much brighter so they can actually eat in pretty good lighting now.
That's good. Like as soon as the light comes on, Harold has to blink a couple times to get used to the sudden brightness.
Mhm, mhm.
And his little dot eyes make little tiny sound effects. Like
Also,
you know the ones, the little
yes.
pink ones.
Also, roll another perception check since the lights are fully on.
Okay. Perception 13.
Okay.
Harold, you saw better in the dark.
Well, the thing is, I'm seeing if you would notice this, and the DC was a little low. Um, Harold, as you kind of adjust your eyes to where like it's suddenly bright and stuff, and you see all of the mess gloriously defined, you look around and your eyes kind of go up a little because you suddenly realize you feel a slight draft. What? And it's not coming from the slot in the door.
Mm.
And there's this little hole, like something had chewed through it
Oh,
in one of the corners. And it's the same hole that Lester saw.
oh boy. Harold's immediately tensing and like, hmm, hmm,
And then
that's not good.
Abby comes back in and she is oblivious. Just okay, lights are back on. Okay. Cookies, right, cookies.
Uh,
Cookies.
uh, uh, Abby,
Huh? Yeah?
what, what's that? And like Harold very nervously points to the corner.
What? What? And she
The,
looks where Harold is pointing. Oh.
is that? Okay, okay, ha ha ha.
Oh.
Is that what I think it is?
I,
Oh
I,
no.
oh no. I really hope not.
Oh,
Oh.
oh. Harold is just taking a breather, just in case. Just a very, very careful breather.
Um, Harold, would it be okay if I stayed with you for a bit?
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely fine. I can get the bunk beds upstairs ready.
Okay.
Oh
I,
gosh.
I
And
don't.
like Harold is gonna like very carefully like go to like inspect the hole and like just double check and make sure if his suspicions of is this a rat, is this a
Mhm.
rat, because if it's a rat, Harold is gonna be so, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Mhm.
Like What would I roll for that?
Yeah, I
Investigation?
think
Oh gosh.
investigation.
Oh gosh. Oh, 15.
15!
Okay.
Great! There
Especially since he doesn't have a plus to that at all.
there are definite shoe marks all around the hole, and it's very splintered, but it's also kind of old. It's not recent, but it's not ancient.
Hmm. I think like
It
Harold thinks about this for a while. Like thinking about this fact.
it's almost like it's a few like it looks like it's almost around the same age as when Abby and Lester had first run into the rat.
Oh boy. Okay. Uh-huh. Harold is thinking about that very hard and he's very nervous. Like he's debating inwardly whether to tell Abby this or like to make sure to not tell Abby this because this seems like a very thing that like obviously he's going to tell Captain about the fact that apparently the rat knows how to get into where everyone is because they found Abby's house. That's not good. Yeah, he's
Mhm.
definitely going to be killing Captain about that. Yeah. All the other adults.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy. Oh, it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing that Harold came. Oh gosh. Oh no. Okay, yeah.
Do
Okay.
do you see anything, Harold?
Uh Harold is gonna very nervously peek his little head out the hole and like glance around very quickly.
You don't need to roll
does
for
he
this. There's nothing
does he
there.
perceive anything else? Okay, good.
Like it's
Okay,
been long gone. The rat has been long
okay.
gone.
I I don't think anything is here. But yeah, this is something I'm gonna tell Captain and the other adults about. Uh oh boy, okay. Uh and like he's gonna distinctly not mention like the whole the whole hey, this rat might have come around when it found you guys later, which is he doesn't want to worry her too bad because he's already worried enough as it is.
Mhm. Abby just kind of she nods and actually she's gonna oh insight to see if she notices his
Yeah,
omission.
please do. Please do. Oh,
19. 19.
yeah. Well, let me put it this way, Abby, you grew up with this rabbit.
She
You know
does.
all his little tells.
Yep.
You know, like when like his ears start flicking nervously, and when one of his feet start absently tapping behind him, and sometimes his tail twitches.
Abby looks at all of this and her arms go over her chest and she straightens and she looks at him and goes, Harold, what did you find?
Harold instantly, instantly shrinks down, like he's just like when like a bunny gets nervous and curls in on itself, and their ears go down.
Yes. Harold, tell me.
Ah, okay. Please don't freak out, because I'm already kind of freaking out, and we don't need two of us freaking out right
Okay,
now.
okay, just
I think,
breathe.
uh,
Breathe.
oh, oh,
Come
I
here.
think,
Just
uh,
breathe for a moment and then you can tell me,
oh,
okay?
oh. And like Harold like takes like a good minute to just breathe deeply, just in and out, in and out.
Cuz like she wants to know but she doesn't want to traumatize Harold by doing so.
That is Abby, I love you. Be the player. And also Harold. Harold loves you too. Huh. I think like he eventually like gathers all the courage that he needs and he's like, okay, so do I remember when you mentioned the rat that you guys saw. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this these bite marks look like they look old, not like super old, but like I think it might have come around to your house, maybe on the same day, and that's really scary.
Abby's
And like
face is pale.
yeah, that's why we gotta that's why we gotta tell Captain because
Okay.
like if the rat knows how to get to your house, then it might mean it might know how to
It
get to
might know
other
how to
people's
get
houses
to
too.
the others. And I think it took some of my fabric.
Oh boy.
Because I
Okay.
couldn't find some of the I was going to use some yarn for luster, and I had known I'd had the right shade of color, but it disappeared. I couldn't find it, and I I'm not sure, but it could have taken some of that.
Hmm.
Oh, one sec.
Oh, intermission time, I suppose. This is fine. Tiny cult
Hello, sorry. My
commercial time.
dad came in and asked what I wanted for dinner/lunch.
You're so valid.
I'm just happy that I remembered to mute myself on the recording.
Oh, you're so valid.
Okay, I gotta realign where my thoughts were going with this. Okay.
Okay.
Um, yeah, Abby's brain was thinking about her threads, and she kind of
Mhm.
turns away from the hole, and she just kind of approaches her box and just starts shoving all of her yarn and all of her supplies into her hammer space because
Yeah, it's time to move.
it's
It's
time to
time to
move.
move. It's time to move. Harold is very quickly, very instantly going to help pack up all of Happy's things. And like,
Mm-hmm.
hold on, I'm gonna roll hammer space real quick. 3. Okay. Harold pulls out a very tiny notebook and like a very tiny writing bit of charcoal. And he's
Mm-hmm.
basically making a checklist of all the things that he puts of Abby's into his hammer space so he doesn't forget it.
Aww. Thank you,
Because
Harold.
sometimes when you put things in your hammer space, you forget that you have it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there are the fumble sheets.
There are, in fact, the fumble sheets. Oh boy.
And Abby kind of like she tosses a grateful look at Harold, and then it's just like, could you maybe pack up my blankets? I they're comfy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, and then Harold just very quickly like scoops up all the blankets, folds them very carefully, makes sure they're nice and clean before he tucks them into his hammer space.
Mm-hmm.
like, like he's helping pack, but it takes him a while because he puts everything into his hammer space very, very neatly.
Harold is valid, and like Abby's just shoving yarn balls into her hammer space. Like just grab, 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 shove, grab, grab, grab,
Harold is
shove.
Harold is grab, fold very carefully, very slowly, then gently put into the hammer space, then
Like
wash,
basically,
rinse, repeat.
I feel like it takes him like the like majority of the time that she's like collecting all of her other little bits and knobs and things, and like
It takes the whole time for him to do the
yeah,
whole blanket pile.
yes. Like basically, Abby is packed and ready to go by the time that Harold finishes with the blankets.
Yep. Yep. Okay, you got everything? You got all your dyes? You got all your yarn and stuff?
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
any like food storage things? You don't want to leave those around because that
Oh
attracts rats. I
no.
remember from the stories that they
Yeah.
used to tell about
Um, I
uh
I think that I ate everything before you came.
Okay. All the more reason to leave to get more food. Yeah. Uh. Hmm. Where's another spot? Well, you can stay with me for the meantime, but eventually we're gonna have to find you a new spot to stay.
Yeah,
Uh.
it's
Okay.
gonna be kind of hard because I've been here since, like, they kind of told me that this was kind of the same area where my parents were. So
Hmm.
gonna be it's gonna be different being in a different spot.
I think like Harold just like tucks the last blanket he had been folding into his hammer space, and then he walks over and gives Abby another hug.
I I wonder if that's why the rat knew.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
She said, I wonder if that's why the rat knew. Because this was where the same location where her parents lived, and they could talk to rats.
Hmm. Hmm. Harold is thinking about this very carefully. Very carefully. Uh, hmm. Okay. I
Yeah.
think I think for now we're just gonna go back to my house and then we're gonna hang out there for the rest of the night. But then after that we're gonna go when everyone else is awake and we're gonna go tell everybody, okay?
Okay. I
And then we can tell about the things that you want to talk about. We don't have to tell them everything.
I think we are gonna have to tell Cap.
Yeah, at least about the rat stuff. But I
No, I think everybody just needs to know. Because keeping secrets isn't. It's not nice
are you
keeping secrets.
Harold?
Cause it,
Can you roll
cause
insight for a second?
oh boy, okay. 19.
You can see that Harold is trying so very hard not to lift his arms into the air and be like, yes, finally, someone is understanding why the rules are so important. He's trying so hard to restrain himself.
She just kind of tosses him a look and is just like, okay, fine, you can gloat. You can gloat while we go home.
I'm not gonna gloat and like Harold just like does like a mock insulted insulted pose with like his hand on his chest like how dare you assume that I was going to gloat.
Oh, yeah, but what about all those little stories that you tell everybody else? Isn't that gloating?
Well, and like Harold narrows his eyes. Okay, you have a point, but still, wasn't gonna, not this time.
Sure.
I think Harold just kind of rolls his eyes and playfully like bumps Abby with his hip.
She playfully kind of stumbles a little, then like slightly hip checks him back.
He stumbles a little bit in return.
She's laughing, and in her hands she is carrying the little nightlight yarn ball.
Nice, good. Do you want me to hold that while we walk back? Cause it's dark. Oh wait, and like Harold like looks up at the Christmas lights. Cause like, did they also grab the Christmas lights or did they not grab the Christmas lights?
I don't think they grabbed the Christmas lights.
Okay. Do you wanna grab those maybe?
Oh, I was going to leave them, but yeah, let's grab them. We can add more light to
Yeah.
your stuff.
Yes, good. And Harold is very pleased with this because more light means less dark.
Mm-hmm. So she
And he's
like,
afraid of the dark.
oh, Harold.
Oh.
Yeah, so like she manages to get everything unpinned from the wooden walls of her little house, and
Mhm.
then kind of just like rolls it all up into like this really really big really big thing.
This sphere of light.
Yes, and then like she basically like looks at it and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna have to unplug this, so it's not gonna be lit for a bit."
Oh, that's right. That's how electricity works. And like
She giggles at that. Like, yeah, it's not like my magic. It kind of needs to be plugged in entirely. Okay, I'm gonna just put them. But once we get to your house, it'll be all light up again because I'm pretty sure there's an outlet right by yours.
if there is, I haven't found it.
I
Harold just
mean,
kind of says sheepishly.
you might have just not looked hard enough or known what
Yeah,
you were
true.
looking for.
Yeah,
But
I'm
that's
not good
okay.
with electricity stuff.
Well, I don't really want you to poke around that kind of stuff because you can get really hurt.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, Electricity is dangerous, Lester. Oh, I'm sorry, Harold. Lester tried to cut some wires and they were live and. Mm, don't do that,
Harold,
okay?
like hearing this, his eyes have turned into little white circles, and he's just sweating.
Harold, just
Does,
whatever
does,
you do,
does
don't.
anyone else need to be informed of electricity and how it works?
I think maybe a little, at least the younger ones. I don't want them to cut the electricity while something's plugged in.
Okay, okay. Another thing to do tomorrow morning. We teach people electricity is dangerous.
Yes, and also, maybe when we get back, instead of maybe setting up the bunk beds for the night, maybe we could just make a nest and build a little tent.
That is a good idea. And like Harold is pointing at Abby with like the biggest, shiniest eyes. That is a very good idea.
Yeah, so it can be kind of like we're camping, but we're safe inside.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put this in my hammer space, and she does so, and they are finally ready to leave.
The giant spear is gone. Okay. And like Harold just kind of like looks back in the box and he's like doing like a one last checklist. Like like that kind of checklist people do when they're moving out. They're like, "All right, do you
Mhm.
have everything? Have you used the bathroom? Do you have all your stuff? Anything you could have possibly forgotten?"
Mhm. Yep, I have everything, and she kind of just looks one final time at the box, and her shoulders slump a little because it's very empty now because everything has been taken out, basically.
Hmm.
And then she kind of just squares her shoulders a little, and she's like, "Okay, we'll set up somewhere else." And she
Mhm.
nods to herself, and then shuts the flat and just kind of hits it, and then she actually uses mending, so the slat is no longer pried out. So it's
Nice.
a fixed box.
Now it is just a normal box with rat marks.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Uh, my house is a little bit of a walk. Like,
That's
and he's only
okay.
saying this because the time it took to get here was a long time because he was by himself and hiding every other minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually that far away.
She kind of like grins at him and is just like, "That's okay. I don't mind a walk."
Aw. And Harold like gives her a big smile, and then he holds out one of his hands for her to take so that they could walk back together.
She takes it.
Good.
And like she kind of like swings it as they're walking and like kind of just reassuringly squeezes his hand.
And he does the same. Just reassuring hand squeezes.
Yep.
Good.
Mhm.
Good.
Mhm. Okay, and I say like they make it back to um they make it to Harold's house all safe and sound in the dark with
hmm
the little nightlight.
Yeah. Harold's house is a little bit of a climb,
Mhm.
though, because
Mhm.
because he does live on top of like a big stack of boxes. It seems like he's afraid of many things, and heights appears to not be one of them. Surprisingly, but only
Oh
because like
boy.
yeah,
Um
only because like he's very prepared.
well, okay. Okay. 15.
Okay.
You Harold, you kind of from the corner of your eye you kind of notice Abby kind of she pauses for a moment and looks up at where Harold's house is stacked up on top of some boxes, and she kind of is like, eh. And then she takes a deep breath, and she's okay. She's okay. She can do this. It's not that high. It's not as high as the rafters. It'll be okay.
Harold offers his hand to hold
She takes it.
while they climb up. While they climb up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like she's
Because
just
like Harold has purposely built his house up high because if you build it up high, it's harder for the rats to get up there.
oh Harold.
Yeah, Harold's heard a lot of stories, and a lot of stories involve rats around here, and he's not like rats.
Oh baby. But yeah, like they make it up safely, and she Abby kind of just looks around and then looks at her little light, and she's like, "I can we set up the string lights tomorrow when it's actually light out?"
That's fine.
Okay.
Uh, and like Harold leads her to his house, which is like an upside down flower pot
Mhm.
with like a big crack on the side of it that acts as an entryway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love
And like
Harold. I love his house.
and he just like leads them inside and
Mhm. She
Hmm.
kind of looks around and is just like, "Okay, where do you want to set up the tent?"
Oh, we could probably set it down here for tonight. And like Harold, like puts down like the stuff he was holding, and then starts moving like the furniture that's down on the lower floor of his house around,
Mhm.
just like shoving aside, just he's got like a table that's like a spool of thread with a big button on top of it. And like just shoves the things everything aside so that the center of the room is available for tint. And then he starts I'm gonna roll hammer space real quick.
mhm.
Nice, a 10. He starts pulling out like all the blankets that he put into his hammer space one by one, all
Mhm.
of them, every single one. And like
As
he double checks and makes sure. He pulls out the freaking list he made from back at Abby's house, and he like checks off every single blanket.
aw.
Gotta make sure you don't lose anything. Things get
Mhm.
lost in hammer spaces all the time.
Yeah. And Abby kind of helps, and then like she's like takes the net she takes all of the blankets except for a few of like the really big ones, and
Mhm.
starts using her knowledge from Croak from when they've hung out together ever since they built the cold house, and makes
Mhm.
little like a little blanket version of the nest that Croak showed her how to make, kind of just weaving it all
Aw.
together and stuff, using her skills as both a person who knows how to knit and as an artificer to make this blanket nest.
Blanket nest. Good. Good.
And it's very
And
comfy. I'm not making myself
while
roll
she
for
like
that.
while she makes like the yeah, you're so valid. While she makes the nest part of it, I think Harold's gonna roll hammer space one more time.
Hmm.
Boop it up. 4. Dang it, Harold! I wanted you to fail so I could pull out your fumble sheet. Oh well. Either way, uh, he pulls out like a paper clip and he like starts. It takes a little bit for him to straighten him out because he's not the strongest, Tiny.
Hmm.
He's got a strength of 6, man.
Oh, baby.
His bunny boy is not strong. So it takes
Oh.
him a little bit to straighten out the paperclip until it's like kind of like a very long, kind of pointy quarterstaff kind of thing.
Hmm.
And he's basically using it as a tent pole. And
Yeah.
he grabs one of the big blankets and he drapes it over the top so that it's like a tent.
Hmm. And like Abby is actually going to roll hammer space herself. 6. She pulls out a little like not little. She pulls out a crochet hook, like a big crochet hook, and
Big one.
yeah. So like it's like she looks at it and then goes, I don't know if this actually will work because it's bigger than the. Wait, I
Well, I
know.
mean, you won't know unless you try, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna just roll like let's just say Dex to see if everything doesn't fall apart.
Oh, well.
Well, it makes
Well.
sense. It makes sense. That's a 9. It makes sense. It looks like it's going to maybe work, and then it just all flops over.
It's like in those like in those cartoons where it looks like it's perfectly fine and then poof,
Yes, basically. And she goes,
poof.
maybe I need to
Hmm.
use more of the experience I did making the cold house.
Hmm.
We need things that are the same size. And then she's like,
Maybe.
oh, I think I know. I think a needle is about the same size as your clip.
Oh, a needle. And like Harold perks up and he doesn't roll hammer space. He actually goes to like a rug that's on the floor.
Oh, Harold, what are
He
you
shoves it
doing?
inside. Hold on, I have a lot of needles. Hold on, give me a second. And
You
then
you have a lot of needles. What are you doing with all of those?
I have I told you about all my collection stuff?
I think you mentioned it, but you were also really busy and running like your mouth a lot. You were like
Ah,
babbling a lot, so I don't think I caught everything. I think you
uh,
were in the middle of a story.
ah. Well, I do. Yeah, yeah. It was because I talk stories about like about how I find a lot of my cool stuff while I'm doing things. And anyway, and Harold like continues to shove aside the rug, and there's a little trap door,
Oh,
and
Harold, why didn't you show this
he
to me before? This is cool.
uh well. And like Harold is realizing that in the euphoria of getting excited about grabbing the needles, he has realized that he may have just accidentally revealed uh
Stash.
his hoard. His hoard. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a hoard.
Well, Abby's looking at all of this very curiously.
Okay, well,
Because, like, it's
he's
not
like kind of
every day that you learn something new about your sibling that you've known your entire life.
like Harold just very sheepishly pokes his fingers together for a bit before he eventually sighs because there's no lying out of this. He's not even gonna try.
Abby just kind of walks
And
over and starts shoving him slightly. Show me, show me, show me, show me! I want to see
okay,
your stuff!
okay. And like Harold sighs and he opens the trap door and it's like a big ladder that leads down into the crate that's below his house.
Whoa.
Because
Let me go grab my light.
yeah,
Let me go grab my light. That looks dark. And
It
she
is
goes and
dark. I
grabs her.
usually wait until the daytime to go down here, but
Well, it's a good thing that you
needles.
have me, because I've got light. Ta-da!
Yeah.
And she holds out her yarn lantern, basically.
Yes, good. And then they both just shimmy down into the Herald's basement, which is it's the entire crate below his house. It's the whole crate. There is just piles of stuff in here, man.
Abby's just like looking around and going, "Whoa!"
Okay. I think the needles are. Let's see if I take a right at the spoons. Then a left at the pens. And like as he's like saying this, he's like leading Abby along.
Abby's eyes are like so starry right now because, oh my gosh, Harold, you have so many cool things.
Harold is beaming.
Like, she's not even registering that it's a horde. She's just like, oh, all of these amazing things that are so practical if you really, really need them. But she's not gonna actually, like, take away stuff from Harold's horde. That would be mean. But, like, she knows that, like, if she really needed, so, like, in, like, an emergency, she could ask.
Oh, absolutely. And like eventually they get to like a section of the crate that has like shelves, like actual shelves.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just like it is filled. It is filled with needles and toothpicks and other pointy things, pins, just lots of things.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. Well, we're gonna
Mhm.
need something that's like bigger than your normal needle because they're big, but your clip is a little bit bigger than what normal stuff is.
Well, that's true. And then like Harold just starts inspecting the wall.
I
Should
think
we
like,
like both roll something to see
yeah, let's like
how well
maybe
they find?
let's do investigation.
Yeah. Just for
Before
fun.
she like says anything, she's gonna be like, I think we need a quilt needle because those are big.
Oh yeah, those are big. Harold got a 16, which makes sense. This is his
15.
horde.
Yeah, I think they
I think they.
that's enough for both of them to find the quilt needle.
Hmm. uh, they probably find two quilt needles just in
Mm-hmm.
case.
Yeah. Hey, if this doesn't work, then they can just basically use the two quilt needles as the spokes.
Yeah, true.
And they can basically thread it through and like make the paper clip. the, and like just have it like a little like box, like half box thing.
Amazing,
But
amazing. I'm loving
that's
this.
only if it fails, because that's going to be our surefire way of making a tank.
And like maybe just to rush things along, because oh boy, we've been going
Yeah,
for a while.
we've been going for a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's we just say they do that.
Yeah, they do that. They scurry out of the basement, then they go make the tent, and it's red.
Yes, and they make the tent, and they're very cozy in the blanket nest. And Abby kind of just sets the little nightlight lantern ball of yarn in the
Mhm.
middle, and just is like, okay, that was a lot.
Tonight's been a lot. Tonight has been a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you sure you want to like tell Captain about everything that happened? Because I just want to double check before I go rambling off to him about stuff. Okay? Because I
Well,
want to make sure that you're okay with telling things before I go
well,
and tell him things.
the thing is that, like, you were hurt by everybody keeping it a secret from you, and I don't want to hurt any of our family by keeping secrets that are really important, because they deserve to know that there's a big that knows about us even though it's basically my fault that it happened. But if
It's not your fault. It was bound to happen eventually. I mean, like Harold. Actually, do you want to roll insight?
oh boy, do I. 18.
Oh man, Harold has started sheepishly like poking his fingers together. His ears are twitching.
Harold, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you saying?
Uh, um,
Harold, what did you do?
okay, and he's sweating. He's
Harold,
sweating.
Harold, what did you
Okay,
do?
don't tell Captain. Um,
Don't tell Captain!
okay, look, yeah, just, okay, one time when I was patrolling in you know, the kitchen, um,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
What happened? Are you okay?
I got stuck in a jar,
You got
and,
stuck in a jar?
and, um,
You got stuck in a jar? Harold!
and, um, uh, uh, Harold is sweating.
Harold, how did you escape? Like, Harold, what happened?
I got let out.
You got out left by who? Harold, by
um,
who?
um, really, really tall, the,
Tall?
um, he
Tall
has
is...
a hat.
Oh, so it wasn't Larry?
It was, no, it wasn't, Harold looks like he's going to die.
Was it the kitchen man?
And he nods.
The kitchen man knows about us?
He knows about me. I'm pretty sure.
Well, at least he let you out.
Yeah. Oh, Vamp is gonna kill me later for this. This is something we totally headcanoned about in the DMs, and I'm making it canon just because I can, and because I'm a little bastard.
Abby just looks at you and she's just like, oh, oh, jeez. Like she's just kind of holding you, holding your arms, like just like you're okay. Because like she has no room to die. Consider. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh.
We've gone into a loop of laughter.
We have.
It's never ending.
Oh, no. I can't breathe. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, Abby has no right to judge.
Harold has no right to judge.
These siblings just
Neither of them have rights to judge.
We love these siblings. And she just kind of looks at Harold and is just like, so is that why there's been tiny little bits of food appearing in the kitchen?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. And then I kind of think we need to end it here.
Yeah.
and, and so they spend the rest of the night just chilling and talking about their encounters with Begs and how maybe they're not as scary as they thought? Question mark. And Abby kind of
pretty scary, but at least some of them are nice.
Yes, and like Abby just kind of like she kind of looks at Harold and she's just, you know, I kind of want to apologize to Miss Victoria. She shouldn't have been scared like that.
I'm sure we can think of something.
Yeah.
Maybe. But it's late, and I think we gotta save for talking about stuff like that for later when we can think better, because I'm tired.
Yeah, I'm tired.
I'm tired.
I'm tired too. Let's go to bed and then we can talk more in the morning and we can figure out what exactly we're gonna tell the Cap and everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that everybody knows what happened because they should know about it.
Okay. And like I think Harold like curls up into the big nest of blankets.
Mm-hmm.
And he opens his arms as like a here, come, it's time for hugs.
And
It's time for snuggles.
Abby like
Sibling snuggles.
immediately dives into Harold's embrace and is just like, Fluffy. Fluffy brother. Fluffy little bunny brother. And then I just kind of picture the camera kind of zooms in on their sleeping faces and then like turns into a little star and then wink, the episode is over.
Yes. Good. Oh, that was so good.
Okay.
That was so cute.
Yes. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thank you for listening. This is very good.
Yes.